Hi everyone, Kylie K back with Lauren. Hello,
Hi,
girlfriend.
everyone.
Okay, we did part one. Part one's always a little tricky because we got to blow out the cobwebs. I had my text
We're
messages
just feeling
going
each
off.
other out.
Absolutely. You have no idea what I'm going to ask you. I'm going to put you in the hot seat. I totally get it. I thought I was gentle. Okay, so
You
I
were.
was on my best behavior. Let's just say that. If you missed part one, we did talk about modalities. Lauren is a master of many modalities. We talked about how that fits into intuitively led healing versus modalities. Touch a little bit on trauma. So now that brings me to my next part with Lauren. So if you have not had the pleasure of reading, immersing, bathing, marinating yourself in the words of Lauren, you need to go to her website. What is the website?
It's
That's right.
laurencalvert.com. We'll put it in the show
That's right.
notes, right?
If I remember.
Click below.
Click, like, subscribe, and I will try to remember
Mhm.
that.
All the
I am
things.
professional. Okay. So, um, so we were just talking in between our little break about something about I'm trying to put it in a condensed version, that we are entering this kind of, I think, realization as a collective that we need safe spaces in order to be able to verbalize how we're feeling, reflect, have that reflected back to us, to have kind of hard truths, to just feel accepted in a space. It might not be something that if you thank you again. I did put it on just do not disturb. I'm gonna
That's
blame
hilarious.
one of your family members that's
Parents.
coming through.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Thanks.
thanks. Thank
Hi,
you.
guys.
Can you tone it down a little bit? Okay. Um, so because I think that we take for granted having these safe spaces because we have created our own micro community for ourselves, right? You and me and the ladies on the podcast and our own external friends. We have these micro bubbles of safe spaces, but I realize that that is not accessible to a lot of people out there. So by providing these safe spaces, it allows people to kind of gently roll into their healing era versus that whole like ayahuasca falling on the floor, having these dark nights of the souls. Do not need to have those. We can, not saying we can't, but we
Yes.
don't need to have those in order to heal, right? We can have these gentle kind of ripples, oceans flow over us. So that leads me to, and I hold on, I have a point. So
Mhm.
the words and your writing that you have really set the tone for people to come home to themselves, to have their own safe space, and to have their own vibrational to have the vibration met to where they're at in order to help facilitate on their healing or to be heard. A lot of these words, I know people like I know that we shared that on your soul wisdom. I think it was yesterday, one of your just a snippet of
Mhm.
one of your passages. And someone said within, 30 minutes, like, I needed to hear that today. I want to talk to you about I do want to talk about many things, but I do want to talk about at what like, when you're writing these words, do you feel like where do they come from?
Yeah. It's really interesting. So, first of all, my first memory of writing was probably around the age of 8, and it was on the school playground sitting by myself.
Wow.
Right? So that's where I started writing. I remember the notebook, it had daisies on it, it was blue. And, I just started writing mostly poetry, but, other things as well. And I've always I've always kind of written over the years, but, you know, it's changed and it shifted into something a little bit different. And what happens with this is often I will hear a sentence or a rhythm in my head, right? It's like it might be the first sentence of what I write, or I might be thinking about a subject and then like get some words. And sometimes, the writing is poetic, sometimes it's more reflective.
Mhm.
And so I often will hear the words, and that will often happen when I'm driving or something. So I have to make a note of what I heard. And then I need to sit down with that, and then it all sort of just comes out, right? There are very few times where I've gone, I don't go, oh, I want to write about this subject and sit down and write. That's not how my writing works.
Mhm.
I can't make it happen. It's inspired. Maybe, it comes from spirit. Maybe it's my higher self, whatever you want to call it. And so when I get the inspiration, I go with it. Now, the writing that really, it is always coming from an emotional place that I'm in. Always. I've always been a really deep feeler. And what I find is I get to a point where I can't feel better until I write something.
Really?
So it's like this,
I did not
yeah.
know that.
So it's for me, yeah. So I think I mentioned this on the podcast. So like I talk out loud, I talk to you, I talk to the girls, whatever. I have epiphanies and realizations and those sorts of things. But when it comes to things that I feel really deeply inside of me, and often it'll be a deep sadness or like a burning frustration.
Mm.
It'll be one of those sort of things. Often I need to write something to feel better. And that in combination with whatever words have been coming that I'm downloading, whatever you want to call it, what I'm picking
Yeah.
up on,
Mhm.
then I write it and I feel better. And that's it. That's how it
Do
works.
you think you're
So
doing it to just like, do you think there is it's interesting because to me you're transmuting it, whatever it is, out of your body into
mhm,
a tangible form that is gentle,
yes.
right? It might be cathartic, but it's still gentle. But it's interesting that other people resonate with it coming out. And you would think that coming out of frustration or sadness or whatever that deeper emotion is would actually not create that kind of healing sensation. I don't know why, because and
Mm,
that is an interesting aspect I'm just learning about myself, right? Because I didn't realize that the darker like it doesn't have to be darker emotion, the deeper feeling emotion, right? The core emotions, the anger, the grief, the sadness, depression, all that would actually kind of be a catalyst for people to heal from. You would think the uplifting is what people hear for. I just learned something. But where's my light bulb? Light bulb. Like
you need a little
I
bulb.
just learned something.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So what I find is I'm transmuting or alchemizing whatever it is that I'm feeling through writing.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I don't know what it is. And I feel like people can feel it more if I read it out loud than if they just read it, because when I hear it, it's got a particular cadence, and
Mhm.
some parts are slower and some parts are faster, and the tone will change. So what I feel like is, let's say it carries a frequency. I mean,
Mhm.
everything is frequency.
Right.
So let's say it carries a frequency. That frequency hits some part in some person who, say, quote, needed to hear that, like we just said before.
Mhm.
But sometimes you, often they don't know that. It's not like they know they needed to hear that
Right.
or anything. But I think sometimes, because it can be pretty raw, and it can be, sometimes people are like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Totally great." Like,
I did.
because
I got out of my
I've done,
system.
yeah, correct. But honestly, it's like that, because sometimes I've written things and people are like worried about me. I'm like, "No, no, no, no. I'm okay."
Right.
And I'll tell you another story about that in a
Yeah.
minute. But I think sometimes people, it's almost like they get permission to admit how they're feeling because someone else has gone first or something like that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like, it's okay to have big emotions. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to feel not good. And that's one thing, you know, No one wants to stay in a well of despair, and I'm not saying that anyone should be there,
Right.
but I believe there is so much healing and creative juice that can come from those deep, dark places. I would not be able to write anything that touched anyone if I didn't deeply feel sometimes really not good,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I remember I think I was in my last years of high school and I wrote this really long poem. Oh my God, it's the longest one I've ever written. And it was dark. It was really dark because at that time, I was not okay.
Mhm.
And I remember a friend had a copy and their parents found it, and then they were like, "Oh my God, like we need to go and like talk to people because Lauren's not okay and she might do," and it was like, "No, I'm okay. This is just how I express things." So, it's translating feeling into words, but in that process, there's an alchemy that happens
Right.
that is very healing for me.
Mhm.
And that's sort of yeah.
Yeah, do you like, I would be one of those parents, who would be like, "Okay, are we okay?" But I'm also aware that I wouldn't go to the parent. I would be like, get her on the phone, let me just quickly check in with her because I wouldn't activate something
Yeah.
with the parent, if there's a problem, right? But knowing like, I'm curious, did that shut you down for a little bit from expressing in written form? Or did you like,
I don't think it
"For
did.
you?"
No, I don't think it did. I think I kept writing. And there was something about it where I often felt like I didn't make sense to other people. And to be honest, like that's I think something a lot of people feel through their lives.
Mm,
It's just but writing always made me make sense to me.
right, right.
You know what I mean? There's something that I don't know. It really for me feels like I'm connecting with who I really am in some ways. I don't know. It's a whole lot of stuff.
It is, and I think out of anyone that I've known or met or I've, had as a client who has similar kind of tendencies, right? To really just have that safe space, to have that energetic safety net, and to go out in the world and provide that for people. Yours is very, very unique because you always seem to have the right words to say. And it's not even vocalizing those right words, it's also acknowledging the undertone that there might be triggering a trauma. And if someone's put on a
Mm,
spot, I'm not gonna, yeah, like I've seen it on our podcast, right? Where it may be too hard hitting of a question, and you're really good with be like, you know what, we need to also respect that this could also be from a childhood trauma, or it could be like you're always very good at acknowledging that. And it's the wording, right? So it's the wording piece for you
mm,
that is such an important thing to acknowledge, but to verbalize it to write it out in writing is a whole different thing. So, with that being said, with the writing portion, so if people feel, and I'm going to say it, if people feel constipated, energetically speaking, in
mhm,
that creative outlet, because a lot of people don't gravitate towards painting something, right? Might be doing a hobby, craft, bead thing, whatever it is you gravitate towards. But if someone's listening to this out there, and hallelujah if you made it this far, thank you. Um, and there was they had an urge to write. What would be your advice to kind of pull that plug in order to allow that to flow?
mm. When I've had there have been times where I haven't written for a big chunk of time, and then part of me sometimes wonders if I've sort of lost it or something, but it's just,
I think that's
you know,
normal.
it's been life or
Yeah.
yeah, or whatever. Sometimes you just need to sit down and start. And often that first thing is not something that I would put out into the world, but it just gets the juices flowing.
Mhm.
So I think that too often we wait for the perfect conditions. I'm going to meditate and sit down at my desk or sit under a tree and I'm going to have a cup of tea and then I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
And I have written things on my phone in the car line. I have, I'll often, yeah, no, I mean, often I'm just like, okay, I've got something and I need to write this now. So I just get whatever piece of paper I have and go and lie on the floor and write, whatever it is. So
Mhm.
there are no perfect conditions. Um, Not everything you write needs to be for other people. But just just start. Just
To
start
start. I
and
love
see
that.
how you feel.
Mhm.
And just see how it makes you feel. And writing may or may not be your thing. It may be painting, but there is often a real stuckness around creative things, but it's like the pent up frustration and all of those things that's sort of stopping you is actually what you're going to release through what you do,
Right.
whether it is painting or whatever, and it might I actually find it's similar to exercise,
Okay.
interestingly enough,
Mhm.
because I feel like people also get those blocks with just starting to do something like that. But and exercise is another way to really shift your emotional state.
Mhm.
Um, and again, people usually wait for it's not the right time or it needs to be like, it's the right time is the moment that you decide that it's important for you.
Right.
And it
Yes.
doesn't have to be 5 stars. It is just start.
Yeah.
See what comes out.
You know what? I fall into that trap of romanticizing the process of writing or creative. I'm like, I've got a long weekend and the kids are at grandma's house. I'm gonna go paint. I'm gonna do all this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, go buy it. And I'm sitting there and it's Friday afternoon, drop the kids off, and I'm like, right, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna do stuff. And it is just absolute shit. And then I'm sitting with it and I'm like, what are you doing? Are you doing this because you want to do it or because there's some romantic notion of someone's writing their novel in Nantucket on the beach and it's a Hallmark movie, right? And it's like, I'm writing my book. And I'm like, I'm just going to paint outside. It's beautiful. And then I get there and I'm like, no, this is not it. And then I will go 5 minutes later shaving my legs. Everyone knows, but should know by now that my biggest epiphanies come from dishwashing or shaving my legs, and then I'll have the download of what I'm meant to be doing. So
Mhm.
I do just strongly recommend taking yourself out of that pressure of needing to create and just let it come naturally. Now, can I do a pivot? Because I am a little bit caffeinated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we're going to link it in because I'm a professional. Um, Dreams, because I do want to touch on this because
Mm,
you have the most insane dream life, right?
I do.
And I guess that is also another outlet for you, maybe not in the most creative way, but it is absolutely an outlet. And I don't know if you signed up for it, but we do thank you for your participation in it because I know that it is doing pretty spectacular things. Um, Talk to me about. I know we've talked about it on the podcast, but like, how is the dream state going now that you've kind of acknowledged a lot of it? Where are we at? We're just having a conversation, casual girlfriend conversation.
Yeah, um, I am less I used to get quite affected by it because I felt like it made me really tired.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know, it's like now that it just is a part of me. I don't waste my mental energy on it or something in some way. Um, there are times when wake up. I guess what has changed is I don't judge myself for being so tired sometimes because I know
Mhm.
that I've had a really busy night doing whatever it is, whether it's been receiving messages or, moving through timelines or visiting, people that have passed or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'll wake up and go, oh my goodness, I think I messaged Kylie one time and went, I went to the Death Realms last night. I don't know what that is, but I know I was there.
Yep.
And so, my dreams have always been a little bit of a mystery and I can't make them happen. And I have, I know I talked on the podcast about that time when I visited my dad and I literally felt my body become like a wave of light as I
Mhm.
moved through whatever realms we're speaking about. So, I I love my dream life, but I think for a long time I was a little bit, I don't know if the right word is scared, but it was a little bit unknown to me, and it used to take a lot of energy to come back into this world.
Right.
And now I think I've just softened so that when I wake up in the morning, if I'm tired, I just need a bit of time. So sometimes I arrive to the podcast and I'm like I'm still out of it.
Right.
I was like, it would be awesome if we could record that later in the day, so that I was just more with it. But yeah, it's just I've accepted it now, and I've received a lot of, when I was talking in, I think it was part one about my intuition, a lot of those cryptic messages started in my dreams. So for me, anything that is prophetic usually has an animal in it.
Interesting. That's
Mm,
really
yeah.
cool.
So something that's prophetic usually has an animal in it. Um, I've definitely had visitations with various family members who've passed over. Um, you know, yeah, it's interesting.
It is
Everyone's got their own dream language.
they really do, and I
Mm,
don't have any of that, but, um, it fascinates me because I'm listening to you talking, and I'm hearing about the writing and the creative outlet, and I realize that we actually are given a lot of resources in order to dive into figuring out where we're at and our inner state and our energetic state, and being able to alchemize it. It's much nicer word than transmuting. Um, all these things that are going, because we're so complex, right? And it's
mhm,
fascinating because you especially are aware, hyper aware of your gifts and your outlets. And another light bulb moment, right? Is that things can be hard, and things can come from a darker place or a deeper place, even, because dark is not the right word, a more deeper,
mm,
like a deeper fundamental place for it to come out. But it's just like, I wonder how much depth you have, especially in order to have access to so many outlets. Does that make sense? Like, that's
mm,
pretty cool to think about it. It's not a measurable thing of like, well, you've been through a lot of shit, and this is all the opportunities you have to transmute it. It's more of, you have so much depth and you're helping so many realms on so many different levels. And I'm gonna call it, like, before I think I would have said, yeah, you're downloading, and you may have been doing a little bit
mm,
of automatic writing, but I don't think that's
mm,
it. I think you're just internal, you've got this universe within you, or your higher self, that gets to have these opportunities to express themselves. And I think that a lot of people have those to some extent, not as deep as you do, because I know I do not. Mine are very much alchemized in a very different way. What would, if someone's listening to this and they feel very ungrounded or unsettled or blocked in that? And I know that we've talked about the creative writing, but it is, have you found that there are, like, do you have any other ways that you kind of alchemize, just to kind of
yeah,
inspire
look,
people to look within to see? Does that make sense? I
yeah.
just talk out of my ass, but, that's what I'm kind of
No,
getting
no,
at.
no. Yeah, it's a couple of things. Um, Firstly, it's interesting what you said because I did have I had a reading with a psychic medium last year, and she sort of said to me, "I'm sorry, there is so much going on all around you. I'm not sure which timeline we're in, which dimension we're in." She's like, "Because it's like this vortex of energy all around you."
Mhm.
And I'd never had anyone actually say that to me before. Of course, like with my dreams, with things happening, I'm like, I know this is not just like normal, sleep dreamy, brain processy stuff.
Mhm.
And so I used to find everything very disorienting. And I would probably be very ungrounded, and my nervous system would be on high alert, and all of these things. But it's interesting, and it's probably in alignment, we said before about me anchoring in with my intuition and really, having that inextricably linked with all parts of me. And it's probably been throughout that time too that I there's always more to learn, but I accept where I'm at, and I accept that there are things that I don't fully understand about myself. And having that acceptance, because the thing is, like, what I used to do is get a real bee in my bonnet and have to have the answer about, like, why is this happening and how do I make it better and why do I, but having a level of acceptance of, I know there's more to this and it will unfold in time and I'll have clarity is
Mhm.
really helpful, because you can get really ungrounded and um I
It
don't
can
know,
swallow you. It
what's the
can
word?
really
Hey?
are you talking about, like,
Yeah, it can take over
it
your
can
life,
really,
like, you can
yes,
get really fanatical about it, right?
absolutely.
Which it was some sort of a trait I used to have. Whereas now it's like, okay, well, like, what I have learned through the journey, because so much has come to light over time, is that I will eventually understand all of these things more.
Mhm,
But for now, this is a piece of the puzzle. This is a piece of the puzzle. And when it comes to, we talked about the creative stuff and you asked about grounding. For me, I think exercise is really important. So I feel like that's an important grounding piece for a lot of people, because it gets you present in your body in the now.
mhm,
And it can help release a lot of restless energy. I think it's really helpful to have a community or someone that you can talk to about this stuff, because often it's so much unseen. So much of it is unseen. And then if it's just in your head, again, it can really take over.
mhm,
So having a community, like our community, the
mhm.
collective, talking to someone like, I know for 10 years I've been talking to you about all the things that I've been experiencing. Uh, that grounds it. When you speak something, it turns it into something physical in a
Yes.
way.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So writing is grounding for me. I believe speaking is grounding. Of course, being in nature, all those things,
Sure.
whatever it may be. But those are some of the things that I do. But I think when things were harder for me was when I was so hell bent on logically understanding what the hell was going on with everything. Whereas now I'm very much just like, nothing really surprises me,
Mhm.
and there are infinite potentials. And it's funny because I say I keep doing modalities because I want to know more and more and more. And that's true. But I just think it's an ever expanding thing.
Right.
There will always be more aha moments. There will always be more realizations, more veils removed, whatever you want to call it. It just keeps going.
Absolutely.
There is no end point.
Right. Then you're dead. There, I said it.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. But then there's more,
There
right?
is more,
But
but at least we can eliminate a couple of elements out of the journey, right? Like the physical body and stuff.
I think it, I think it's about finding peace in the journey.
Right.
Right,
Yes. Yes,
Mm,
absolutely, and, I do wanna end on a final note because I do wanna let
mhm.
you go back to living your life. Um, you know, I do wanna reiterate that what is absolutely fascinating, and I don't know if this is a known thing about you, your self-care is pretty impeccable. Like, you do address every level of your system, and you really embody that, and you embody the physical. You are out doing movement, you are doing the breath work, you are doing your emotional work, you are eating within your guidelines, you are very much tapped into your intuition and living the spiritual, you're creative. Like, when you look at every single thing, you are ticking off every box. And I have to say, and I will be bold in saying this, you're the only practitioner that I know of and person that I know who really walks the walk and talks the talk and embodies that whole acknowledgement of system. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I hope it makes sense.
Thank
But
you.
in like that's why I think it is such a gift that you're offering the world of just being, like, I'm not saying just because we don't say that word, but being, by simply being you, and everything that you've done to get to this point is what people are seeking. And I can't
Mm,
stress that enough when the wait list becomes available. and it's, because you are busy. You are a hot commodity, and I understand why. But I'm just saying that is exactly why you are like that, is because it's really the true word, the true definition of walking the and talking the embodiment piece, which is just I don't know of anyone who does that. So I'm just saying, I'm just tooting the horn, just saying, get on,
Mm.
laurencolvert.com and join the wait list because I get access to this daily and you can all come at me and hate me for it because I'm okay with it because I'll fight you in the parking lot. But,
Thank you.
it is an absolute what I don't like I said, I don't know who I paid off on the other realms to get you as my friend, one of my besties in this lifetime, but I'm gonna pay for it in the next lifetime if I come back the same. So, on that note, laurencolvert.com, your Instagram handle is there an underscore?
There is love_Lauren_Calvert.
There's 2 underscores, there you go. And you can also
Mhm.
catch us on, Your Soul Wisdom,
Mhm.
and yeah, like, subscribe, all that fancy
And share.
and share. See? Look
Yeah.
at me. I'm a
Mhm.
professional. You're helping me. I appreciate it. All right. Well, thanks for making it this far. Appreciate it. We had minimal message things, but thanks, mum and dad
Yeah.
for
It's
coming
been
through.
fun. Thank you.
Thanks for coming by. Mwah. All right. I'm going to end the recording. Take care.